I'll never forget the scene with, I believe it's the lawyer, or I mean, I'm gonna have to check it out really quick and take a quick synopsis look to rehash. But the scene with the air fresheners is the most chilling scene I've seen in almost all of thrillers and horror combined. I mean, surpassed horror. In terms of reality, not shock value, slow burn, suspense rising up to something that is so deliberately chilling that it just sends chills down your spine. I mean, let me see here. They walk into the house. They walk into the house. I don't even know how to go about it, honestly, the right way. But all I can tell you is there's a scene where the whole brigade is led by Brad and Morgan, and they break into an apartment building, and the person that has been tortured.
They thought the serial killer was there. That's fine.
They thought that they originally thought that this man, as they broke into the warehouse, they thought that he was inside. The killer was inside. They thought that the person was deliberately hiding. The killer was hiding, pretending to be one of his culprits. And as they surround the room and finally get there, they see that in the ceiling are all these air fresheners that are hung separately and individually, but they completely cover the ceiling as it's spread as they walk and approach into the bedroom. And you're wondering why. The intricacies are just in this film are just ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it, because it's so eerie, and yet you see these multicolored, almost like velvety, Valentine heart, cotton candy shaped air fresheners, levitating and hanging from the room in this gray and horrible feature, and you have no clue. And it's not in a horror way. It's just almost in such a realistic, wrenching way that you can't look away from the screen. They pull off the blanket or whatever after yelling and threatening to shoot a person that is in the bed underneath all of the air fresheners, circulated by all these men, Brad Pitt and Morgan. And there's just such... It's almost even more... It's more grotesque than the gluttony scene, because when they pull off the blanket that's covering this man, you don't know what to expect. And you just see what you believe is a frail, decrepit, decomposing body that is just mutilated and starving. And I mean, like, it looks like the most realistic. I mean, we've seen actual videos of real, nowadays you can see anything on the internet. You can see actual videos of real decomposing carcasses, and this film really made it look like it was more authentic than life. And what's so shocking about this scene is that as they're trying to rekindle the forensics and the evidence, and they're trying to figure out how the person was mutilated, and they're looking through these pictures of how the person progressively went from looking like a regular human being to being not even recognizable. I mean, their face was drained. They looked like they hadn't had food or water in months. They know the Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman are analyzing the pictures, and they know that this man was purposely and deliberately and killed and slowly killed in the most malicious way for pleasure, for pure pleasure. And exactly. Say that again for me, Seth.
He was alive when they found him. He
ends up gasping for air at the most unpredictable time in the film, and I'm telling you, it is loud. It is so sparse. And when I say sparse, I mean like almost like you don't get. You just sit back and you just let it set in. you wonder, you go, what? Why does God exist? You wonder, does God exist? Why does this person, if you, not necessarily that you're religious or anything like that, but why, you wonder as an adult watching the film, it's so much more than a horror film or just a suspense thriller when you're an adult watching it and you take it from the seven deadly sin aspect. Is there no hope for humanity? Why was somebody randomly... I mean, the whole significance of this is that it wasn't random, right? It wasn't arbitrary. A sin was committed by this person who was being assailed. And, Brad Pitt is persistent. There's an amazing chase scene that reminds you of the best noir you've ever seen, where he's chasing the man and you can't find his face. You can't see his face no matter what angle you're looking at. He's running from Brad Pitt as we're running through the parking garage, jumping out of windows on garbage trucks, slamming bins into each other in the rain. Brad Pitt's giving it his all. You can't see who the man is. Who's running in the darkness. He looks like you just see the cloak and a hat. It's so iconic and it seems like it'd be cliche, but I've never seen work that's just so just invigorating. The way that you watch it, the suspense. David Fincher doesn't have music that's really upbeat. It's a lot of the time it's slow. It's haunting. Like if you've ever seen The Game with Michael Douglas, another ridiculously underrated film. He knows how to make you feel just with the chime of a piano or just with the subtle, slow, awkward pacing of a sequence. And in doing so, he knows that you know internally that something's going to happen that's uncomfortable, but it never really settles. It could be years from now. I mean, that's why we're talking about Seven, isn't it? I mean, I saw the movie over 10 years ago when my older brother told me that it was the best film he'd ever seen, and I had to see it. In the end, or I don't know, do I want to get to the end yet? Long story short, in that scene, I'm pretty sure when he's chasing... Right, when he's chasing him down... Right. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. When he's chasing him down, in the scene I was just talking about, Brad Pitt runs around a corner, and he's stupidly... He's outsmarted by really who is the murderer. This is the killer. And the killer his face is still not shown. He's not exposed or identified, and he has the gun to Brad Pitt's head, and he spares him. That's what I remember that distinctly. He does not. This murderous, psychopathic killer does not murder Brad Pitt. And I'm wondering, why is Finch going this route? How does it even make sense? And it didn't. It took me honestly years to put two and two together. And the answer, why, which we're about to get to in a few minutes before the end of this video, is so eye-opening.